Welcome back to What the Hype, and this week we have a TV-centric episode for all of you. We're going to be breaking down the biggest television news to come out of the Upfronts, and if you don't know what the Upfronts are, we will clue you into what that means exactly in just a moment. But since it's a jam-packed, newsy episode, we thought we'd get the whole gang here, so everyone's in the studio, which is super fun.
Yeah.
Yay.
I love it when we have a full panel.
Me too.
It's funny because when I first saw that this was in the works, I was like, what are the Upfronts? And now that I know, it still is like inspiring me to like sit up a little bit straighter, like have better posture for this episode, and just like
no
be
slouching.
All really upfront about it. It's very exciting.
Is that the dad joke for...
That's what I thought. Oh, well, sorry, Mike. I stole your thunder.
No, I'll have to come up with another one at some point.
Okay. The bar is set.
Yeah. I too will confess, Eric, that I had no idea what the upfronts were. Like, I think conceptually I understood that studios had large events throughout the year where they are making announcements about what's on the slate and what's to come. But I was not aware of this particular event. So I learned something new getting ready for this show. But it was really cool because you know, when you read into these announcements, I think you actually get a lot more out of them than you do if you're just kind of catching cursory headlines that are coming out of it. Like, it feels like media kind of picks up the top 10% of like most clicked, most excitable headlines, and then a lot of the other stuff doesn't get so much love. So I'm glad that I got an education.
And it's fun because these, you know, shows that aren't necessarily getting the most attention that are being announced are the future hit shows, I think. Like, oh, this one came out of nowhere. What's going on? Who's in this? And all of a sudden it's the new hit show. And it's like, why didn't we know about this? And it's like, well, it was announced at the Upfronts 3 years ago. And now that you've seen what it can do, everybody's talking about it. So it's fun to kind of scout out when I was looking through this list, wondering what shows are going to be like the next big ones in a few years' time, or just, you know, interest me personally.
Yeah. I actually think one of these was fairly close to me in Radio City.
Yeah, they're usually in New York City, so they would be right on your front door, basically, or in your back porch, if you will. But for anyone who doesn't know, the Upfronts, it is very like media industry inside baseball. You're not going to really hear about it unless your favorite show has a huge announcement that gets made. So for anyone who doesn't know, it's an annual industry event, and nearly all the major studios attend. And they do this in an effort to drum up press and also add buyer interest for the upcoming television season. So the studios use this time to preview what they've got coming down the pipeline for the television slates, which is kind of what Laura and Eric were hinting at. And so it usually is for the upcoming year. So this Upfronts would coincide with what's coming down the pipeline in the 2025-2026 season. So let's fall through next summer when we get the Upfronts again. And news coming out of this can include announcements about existing properties, so think renewals, release dates, trailers, etc. Or it can also include brand new announcements, so new pilots that have been greenlit, specials. I know we have a couple people that are excited about some specials coming down the pipeline as well this year. And it has changed a lot over the years. This year, like there's always like a lot of news that comes out, but it has been more sparse since a lot of these streaming networks have also turned to making their own special days to announce what's coming up. So like Disney will do a lot of its announcing whenever the odd year they have D23 happening, for example. Or also Netflix annually does a symposium called Tudum and a couple of others. And they also do
I've never seen
announcements.
transcribed the sound that plays when you open Netflix. Tudum.
Yeah. The first year they did that, everyone was like, why is it called Tudum? Like they did the worst job like
That's
explaining
funny.
it. And they were like, it's because it's the sound. And we're like,
Yeah.
Oh, I guess it is.
Like, it's bad that it's already a if you know event for them to then
Pretty
call it
much.
something so obscure
Yeah.
is like extra. Well, D23 was on my radar, and so was SDCC. Those were the ones where you
Yeah.
expect tons of news and like tons of properties getting a lot of coverage in the media. So it's nice that there is this other thing that I hadn't heard of that also encompasses a lot more of the networks.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to do continuing coverage with stuff like that for the show. I know we've done some stuff with SDCC, but there's also CinemaCon that happens in the spring. A lot of stuff gets dropped on the movie front for that. There's Tudum I was just talking about. I believe that's coming up at the end of this month, so maybe like next week if I remember.
Do you see a lot of
correctly.
advertising for it on
Yeah.
Instagram in particular? But
And now they have their like corresponding website vertical where like Netflix will do all its like editorial news on like the Tudum
for
website.
the layperson, what is SDCC? I'm just trying to keep in mind that we might have some listeners who don't know what that acronym stands for.
Good call out.
I have put on my work hat, like when we're in meetings and all these acronyms start getting thrown around, and I realize we have people who just joined the team 6 months ago and they have no idea what any of these acronyms
They're all
stand for.
furiously ready.
That's
to
any
go.
workplace,
Like,
man. That's
look,
so
I
real.
this.
I am so glad to hear I'm not alone on that, Micah, but that's a different discussion for probably a different podcast. But yeah, no, great call out. What is SDCC, Eric?
It's a software-defined data center, and it has
Riveting.
to do with network architecture. And wait, what? Sorry, that's not what we're talking about here. Yes, San Diego Comic-Con, then, according to Grok. I just drained a lake to figure out the answer to your question. That's the week where everybody descends on San Diego, and you have to choose between standing in line for 5 days to learn what the next superhero movie is, or sitting on YouTube while you're in line for the other thing that you've been queuing for 3 days for instead from the other studio. It sounds like a nightmare, but everyone I know that's gone has had a lovely time or is lying about it because they don't want everyone to know that it's terrifying. I'm intimidated by SDCC, but I like the news. And
I should start lying about it because then maybe less people would go. Actually, it's terrible.
Yeah. Well, Pam, you've survived. We have
Many
here
years. I'm an SDCC veteran.
survivor.
I've
no,
seen
I have
some
a sibling in
things.
San Diego. My sister's there, and I still won't go. I'm like, nope. Too much effort for
Maybe we can go together one year, Eric. and
Oh,
I'll
you know
show
what
you the
though? That
ropes.
actually changes everything, and now I'm excited.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you sure you don't want to go to the software developer
Eh.
acronym?
Tempting, but I think I'll pass.
Didn't we do on one of the shows a Comic-Con survival kit?
I think.
I think we did. Well, because Eric is a con veteran, not of SDCC,
I explicitly
but of many
remember
conventions.
It was on
deodorant.
It was conventions.
Oh my gosh, the number of people that
Well,
don't
that's for
wear
everyone
deodorant.
else.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
not us. We're
That's for civilized society. Yes.
We all
practice
smell
hygiene.
great, by the way. Yeah, if you ever meet us in person, can confirm.
No promises. But yes, that's probably accurate.
Well, anyway, to get back on track here, like I said, we have a lot of TV news because a lot of TV news came out of the Upfronts this year. And just to give you an idea of what kind of networks we'll be covering news from, networks that were at, or studios, I should say, that were at the Upfronts include NBC, Universal, and Peacock, Fox, Amazon Prime Video, Disney, and Hulu and FX, which is all kind of one bundle, Netflix, of course, and we also had Warner Brothers Discovery. And speaking of Warner Brothers Discovery, we wanted to lead with kind of a bigger story that's making headlines, but probably for not the reasons that Warner Brothers Discovery wants, right, Micah?
Yeah, so we learned earlier this week that HBO is going to rename for the upteenth time its streaming service, which is currently called Max and was previously called HBO Max, will now revert back to being called HBO Max. And there's a statement in the Hollywood Reporter from David Zaslav, who's the head of Warner Brothers, and he said, "The powerful growth we have seen in our global streaming services built around the quality of our programming, Today, we're bringing back HBO, the brand that represents the highest quality in media, to further accelerate the growth in the years ahead. Returning the HBO brand into HBO Max will further drive the service forward and amplify the uniqueness that subscribers can expect from the offering.
Let me translate. Oops, our bad.
Yeah.
Oh my, it's
A lot of corporate speak in that.
yeah,
Yeah.
man, that makes me want to vomit. Like, that entire statement just made me want to vomit in protest. Like, what does that mean? How is this going to accelerate your brand?
Well,
Well, they
get
ditched
it.
their brand over a cliff into a ravine that was on fire, and then it exploded before. If you wanted the HBO streaming service, good luck finding it, because your searches would have been in vain.
One thing I do want to point out to keep an eye on, and this is nothing that they led with, of course they wouldn't, because this would send people into a frenzy, is that a huge reason why they decided to drop HBO and just go with Max like a year ago, maybe 2 at Max, is because they had acquired all of the Discovery properties. So like the HGTV shows, the ID shows, the Lifetime, or not Lifetime, the TLC shows, and they were all being housed on the streamer formerly known as HBO Max. And so I'm wondering if bringing back the HBO is them thinking that, they were actually making more money when Discovery had its own streaming service. And so splitting them up and having people pay for 2 streaming services is going to be more lucrative than putting everything in one place and not changing the price per
Devious.
month.
Yeah.
So again, like, that's not anything that I've seen like confirmed, but I wouldn't be surprised if you start seeing those shows kind of disappear.
You heard it here first, folks. That's so funny.
Very interesting to learn that. And where my head went, though, is that for a streaming service, Max in and of itself just doesn't convey the brand. So I'm wondering if they just came to the decision that they need to reinsert HBO back into this so that there's better brand visibility for them.
Yeah, I mean, like, and they could do HBO Max plus Discovery. It's like Disney plus Hulu. That Disney does a good job of marketing both. But I will say, like, the worst part about these mergers, and I appreciate them from a standpoint that, if you do things right, you might only have to pay for one thing, or you might have to pay the equivalent of just for one thing. And so it's nice from a money-saving tactic. But, like, anytime, they bring in properties from other networks and they do these big mergers, it's almost like impossible to find anything on the sites. Like, they don't do anything to update the interface or to make things easier to search. I have a huge bone to pick with both of those streamers in that regard. It's like, you're telling me I can't go on Disney Plus with my Disney Plus Hulu bundle and like just see movies that are on Hulu. Make it make sense.
Well, it's all about TV these days, too. Try finding any movies in their search pages. It's wild.
Well, I will at least give them that I enjoy the self-deprecating humor, that they have really bought into this whole transition and are willing to laugh at themselves. And if you look on even their social media feeds, like the Game of Thrones account on Instagram, there's a shot of Daenerys Targaryen looking very annoyed and pissed off. And then there's a Max logo to the left of her. And then there's a really nice smiling happy Dany underneath her. And to the left of that is the HBO Max
They
logo.
did the Drake meme, but with Daenerys. Oh, I love it.
Has really leaned into this and pulled no punches on it is John Oliver. He did a really funny segment tying it into current political events, as he always usually does in terms of driving home different points. But he had a lot of fun with the fact that HBO is now going back to HBO Max for its
That's great.
I love John Oliver.
So there you have
Me
it.
too.
I forgot all about those
Yeah.
other names. Oh man, I used to
Yeah.
HBO Go.
That's what they want you to do.
I had totally forgotten about HBO Go and HBO Now, and I remember they were live at the same time,
Yep.
and I don't remember what the difference between
No,
them was.
one you could get like the latest Thrones. It was for it was maybe it was just to offset bandwidth because there were so many people trying to watch that show on Sundays. But
Maybe.
We can't say too much more at this point because we still want to protect our relationship with them as we head
What
into
relationship?
the
Yes.
Harry Potter TV show. Yes.
Yes, that's true. That's
But
true.
anyway,
We definitely won't make fun of any of their branding as it relates to Harry Potter, unless it's stupid.
Harry Potter Max.
Then we will. Well, we are going to get into some more TV-oriented discussion notes here ahead in the episode. But first, we do need to take a quick break. But after that, we'll be right back to share some of the things that we're most excited about coming in the next year.